Hello board game brothers and sisters, and welcome to another episode where I'll be letting you know of Kickstarters launching this week. We do have quite a lot of games to cover, so it looks like 2021 is getting ramped up, and we even have our first giveaway of the year. I also want to officially announce that we have our own public Discord that you can go and check out, and this is going to be the best Discord if you want to check out and talk about some upcoming campaigns when it comes to board games. I'm going to have a chat room for each individual game, and they're going to be grouped by what's launching next week, what's launching this week, and what launched last week. I'm going to be moving all the games between the different groups every Friday at 8 p.m. This is only my first time mentioning the Discord, so I'm still going to be making some changes and improvements to it, but it's pretty awesome as it stands right now, so definitely go check that out. I'll leave a link to this in the description below, and for those of you following along, you might already know that I created a post honoring all those content creators that don't take money from publishers. I'm not saying they're any better or worse than other content creators, but they do offer something a little bit different that we'd be missing out on otherwise, and it's a lot harder to run a channel when you're not taking money from publishers, so community support just means a little bit more to these creators. So I created a feed on the Discord that will post any new uploads from these creators so that you can have a look and subscribe to the ones that interest you. So go ahead and join the Discord server. I think this is going to provide a ton of value, and I'm excited to offer a way that we can all hang out and party together in 2021. And with that said, let's check out the Kickstarters. And the first campaign we have launches on January 11th, and it's called Tinner's Trail, and this plays 1 to 5 players and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. And this is designed by a very established and well-known designer, Martin Wallace, and he's designed other games like Brass Birmingham, Age of Steam, London, and Australia. He's also got a ton of other games under his belt. And this is a competitive game where players are going to be developing mines in order to extract ore to gain a profit. But the deeper you go into a mine, the more costly that mining is going to be. So you're going to want to set up some ports and train stations to make the process a little bit more efficient. You're going to be trying to time the market to sell when prices are high, and you can also invest in other companies to gain victory points. This is a redesign of the original game released back in 2008, and there are quite a few changes that come along with this version. This used to play 3 to 4 players, but it now plays 1 to 5, and also resources are distributed based on tiles rather than dice rolls to reduce the randomness that was involved with the earlier version of the game. Dual-use cards are now a big part of the game, and they can give you useful information before an auction or give you a nice little boost after an auction. This release also includes 2 expansions, the Arsenic expansion, which adds a new resource, and the Emigration expansion, which allows you to send workers overseas. Although the original game was designed by Martin Wallace, the lead design work of this new version, along with the expansions, was done by David Digby, and he's helped develop other games like Autobahn, Dice Theme Park, Eternal Palace, and Chocolate Factory. And the next campaign we have launches on January 12th, and it's called Pingyao, First Chinese Banks, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. And this game takes place in China during the Qing Dynasty, where citizens relied heavily on camels to travel to distant cities to trade wealth and goods. At this time, the nation was divided and unable to operate an efficient economy, so a network of bankers was established to connect all of China, and wealth began to accumulate, which made Pingyao the financial heart of the nation. In this competitive Euro game, players take on the role of the most powerful merchants in Pingyao. Players can recruit managers to their agencies to gain some powerful abilities, and they can also offer loans in exchange for government favors and fame. Or they can instead choose to deposit that money to gain interest. This campaign is also going to be offering the Golden Pawner expansion, which introduces pawning to the game. This is one of the oldest professions and played a key role in the fortune during the Qing Dynasty. This game uses dice workers, where players roll their dice at the start of the round, and then they're going to take turn placing their highest dice on places on the board in order to take those actions. The different areas offer some very different rewards, and there's some interesting rules about your dice placement when there's already a die placed in that area. The difference of the dice can determine the reward that you'll get, or even if you can place there at all. This game does have a ton of reviews on Boardgame Geek, and they're also offering a tabletop simulator version of the game, which I love to see. And there's also already quite a few gameplay videos out that you can check out, and I'll leave a link to one that I thought was really well done right up here. And the next campaign's also launching on the 12th, and this one's a little bit different, but I also think it's really cool, which I'll tell you in a second, but it's called the Make 100 Fantasy City Locations. And this campaign is all about building a city map. So this will be really interesting for any of you that play RPGs, or that just really want a cool piece of art that they can hang up or show off in their gaming room. And something that's really cool about this campaign is that it's actually a collaborative effort where the backers will be able to help make decisions, such as what aspects or locations are included in the final map. And if you do decide to back this, I think you can have a lot of confidence that it's going to be done right, because this creator has actually done something like this very similar before. He actually launched a campaign back in 2019 called the Make 100 Fantasy Locations, and in this campaign he created a map using feedback from the backers to create an entire world. Not only that, but I did a little bit of research on the creator, and it looks like he's been designing maps for quite a long time and has quite a lot of experience in the area. Not to mention the artwork actually looks quite amazing. The price point on this one's going to be quite reasonable as well. I don't play many RPG games myself anymore, but I think I'm going to back this one just to have a nice piece of art to hang up in my game room. And something else that's really cool is that this creator actually hopped onto the ShelfClutter Discord, so if you go check that out, you can actually reach out to him and ask him any questions that you want. This is a nice little thing that I hope we see more of in the future. And the next campaign, also launching on the 12th, is the Fallen Land 2nd Edition Big Box with the Descendants expansion. And this plays 1 to 6 players. It takes about 2 to 5 hours to play. And in this story-driven sandbox game, players are competing as rival factions in a post-apocalyptic America. The sandbox style of this game is very visible because there's actually quite a lot that you can do in it. Players will assemble and equip their party and set out into the wasteland to gather different resources and complete different missions and tasks. Of course, there'll be a number of dangers out there, so you'll also be building up and managing your town to protect your citizens and your resources. This game gives you the freedom to make or break alliances with other players, so expect a lot of bribery and betrayal. Throughout the game, players will be establishing themselves as a leader and also increasing the prosperity of their town. Reaching a high enough level in either of those two aspects will allow you to win the game. Since this campaign is for the 2nd edition of this game, you can definitely find a lot of info on it already, and there's already a ton of reviews on Boardgame Geek, many of them with some really great comments that might help you decide if this is a game for you. I do also want to mention that the game has an 8.3, which is an amazing rating for a game on Boardgame Geek. I also noticed on their website that they have a really neat page for fan-created content, and there's a free expansion on there, along with a companion app that can help you track the different scores and components in the game. And the next campaign, also on the 12th, is Cthulhu Call of Madness, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 40 to 80 minutes to play. And in this game, players are honorable cultists trying to summon the great old ones from H.P. Lovecraft's works. This won't be so easy because you'll be competing with the other cults to try and do this first, and you also have those pesky investigators getting in your way. This game uses a combination of deck building, hand management, and take that, so that players can sacrifice their cultists to gain the power of the Ancient Ones, and use that power all while spiraling into madness in order to defeat your enemies and gain the blessing of the Ancient Ones. The first player to complete their summoning ritual wins the game. Also on January 12th, we have Epic 7 Arise, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 40 to 90 minutes to play. And this is a board game adaptation of the mobile game with the same name. And this is a cooperative game where players are going to be working together to try and save the world from the archdemon. The game plays over a series of chapters with a main plot and side quests, and if a player ever dies, they receive a penalty, but they're revived in the following round. As long as one of you stays alive, you still have a chance to win the game. Each chapter is standalone, so it's not required that you play them in a particular order or even with the same players. If you're a fan of the world created in the mobile game, this board game is going to expand on that and add a lot more depth and plot to the game that you already know. I don't charge publishers for any of this coverage, so if you like this sort of content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button because it really helps other people find this channel. I know you probably hear that a lot across YouTube, but community support is especially important for independent creators like me and many others. And if you want to go a little bit extra, definitely check out that Discord server that I mentioned at the start of the video. I think there'll be a lot of value for you there, and I'd really love to see that community grow. And if you'd rather get something nice for yourself while still helping out the channel, definitely check out kickstartergames.com because they have a wide selection of games. Some of them are even deluxeified or Kickstarter editions of the games, and they add new games every week. A small percentage of any sales made there will come back and help this channel, and they also buy games if you're looking to downsize your collection. Each month they give away a board game, and all you have to do to get included in that draw is sign up to their newsletter. And this month they're giving away Gates of Mara, which I just looked up and looks like a pretty cool worker placement game that I think I might even have to look into after I'm done editing this video. And if you don't do any of that, that's cool too. I'm just happy to have you here checking out the channel, so let's get on with the Kickstarters. And now we're getting into campaigns that are launching on the 13th, and the first one we have is CMON's animated collection, which includes Looney Tunes, Teen Titans Go, and Scooby-Doo the board game. Of these 3 games, the Looney Tunes and the Teen Titans games are the most similar because they're both based on the new system created by CMON called the Mayhem system. Each of these games will implement the system a little bit differently, but the core philosophy is that this is a team versus team based game where players are trying to KO characters from the opposing team in order to gain victory points, and the first team to gain 5 victory points wins the game. Players can use items and powers to battle, and when they're KO'd, they're removed from the game, but don't worry because they come back in the following round. The system's going to utilize a special Mayhem die that's going to manipulate the amount of damage that you can deal each round, which is going to change your focus depending on what that is. The Looney Tunes version of the system is going to focus more on movement, setting traps, and using your environment as a weapon. The Team Titans game has a more straightforward approach where players are going to be using their powers to deal damage directly to their opponents and rely more heavily on teamwork. And now we get to the Scooby-Doo game, and this one's a lot different because it doesn't follow that mayhem system. This is going to be a standalone game where players are going to be controlling their different character, each with their own individual powers, and you're going to be trying to solve a mystery. And you're going to be working together to try and capture a villain before it scares all the citizens out of the town. There's going to be a collection of different villains that you can choose to play the game against, and each one's going to operate a little bit differently. This game plays 1 to 5 players and it offers 3 different difficulties so you can scale it to your player group. And the next campaign's launching on the 14th, and this is going to be run by Eagle Griffin Games. And this is going to include at least 2 games that I know of, and these are both going to be designs by Alf Siegert. The first one's going to be a new game called Illumination, and the second game is going to be a reprint known as The Road to Canterbury. I don't have much info if the reprint's going to be a redesign or an updated version of the game. The art direction that they went for with Illumination is very similar to that of Road to Canterbury, and they both take place in medieval times, so they may just be including the 2 together because there's a thematic overlap. And in this game, players are collaborating to document illuminations across 3 different manuscripts. The issue is that they each have different goals. One player is going to be representing good and the other player represents evil, and they're going to be constantly working against each other as this manuscript is written. These manuscripts are created using tile placement, and on a player's turn they're going to have to take either a row or column of tiles from their player mat and then place those across the manuscripts. With careful placement, they can earn coins to buy cards or perform special actions. And by placing tiles of the same color next to each other, they can gain ritual tokens, which can be later spent to gain victory points. As tiles are placed, different conflicts are going to be set into motion because each player has a collection of entities depicted on their tile that's going to have an equal and opposite entity of the opposing player. For example, angels and demons. Those conflicts are resolved when those tiles are completely surrounded, and the player that has the most presence there wins that conflict. And of course, there's victory points granted to whoever wins the most conflicts at the end of the game. Finally, you also gain victory points depending on the different objective cards that you've completed. And The Road to Canterbury plays 2 to 3 players and takes about 60 minutes to play. And in this game, players are medieval partners who sell certificates to deliver sinners from their eternal penalties. To keep yourself in business, you're also going to be tempting your customers into nefarious deeds thematic to the 7 deadly sins. The more sins that they commit, the closer they get to death, so you're going to want to beat your components in pardoning these pilgrims before they reach Canterbury. And the next campaign launches on the 15th, and it's called Fearless Franco, and it plays 1 to 5 players, and I don't have a game length on this, but I'm going to estimate that it takes about 15 minutes to play. And this game is all about a daredevil and everyone around him trying to take his money. His mechanic likes to see lots of damaged vehicles that need repair, his doctor likes to see as many medical bills as possible, and his girlfriend just wants his love and affection, and maybe a credit card. And then there's Fearless Franco, who just wants glory, but he's still pretty tight with his cash. This game does feature a dexterity element, as players will be launching Fearless Franco off of his jump. Players are going to be manipulating cards in their hand to help themselves and hurt others, and depending on the cards and the outcome of the jump, players are going to earn money each round. The game ends after several seasons, and whoever has the most money, or in Franco's case, the most glory, wins the game. So quite a lot of campaigns to cover this week, so it looks like the campaigns are ramping back up, and I'm happy to say so are the giveaways, because I have one for you this week and several more coming down the line. And this giveaway is going to be for a pledge that I know a lot of you are going to be excited about, because it's a fully decked out all-in pledge for a game that's been getting raving reviews, which has raised about $700,000 Canadian at the time of filming this video, and it's only been up for a week. And of course, I'm talking about Darwin's Journey, where players are going to be recalling Darwin's memories as he traveled the Galapagos Islands, where he developed his theory of evolution. This is a worker placement Euro game with a little bit of a twist, because you'll actually be able to upgrade and educate your workers in some different disciplines in order to unlock some different abilities throughout the game. There's a great video by Man vs. Meeple where they cover the 5 most intriguing elements about this game, and if you want to go even more in depth, I recommend checking out John Gets Games channel, because he put out a really great tutorial run through where you can go ahead and learn the game for yourself. And if you want to go even more in depth, you can check out the rulebook and tabletop simulator links that they have provided on their Kickstarter campaign page. If you haven't entered any of my giveaways before, I just want these to be a fun thing for you, so I don't ask for anything. You don't need to subscribe or like this video or do anything. All you have to do is leave a comment down below and let me know if you could play any game with your friends right now. Which game would it be? For me, I've never won a Game of Nations yet, and I still need to prove myself. I know with the lockdowns right now, there's probably a game that you want to play. Best of luck in the contest. Until next time, keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.